wrote this book for my father-in-law. I also wrote this book for a friend of mine who is not a Christian, a humanist, a much nicer human being than me. And in a sense, I wrote this book to show her that she is a believer, the same as me. Because I remember she once wrote a letter where she said, "I hope you realize that I could never be a believer." And I remember thinking at that stage, is like 10 years ago, I remember thinking, oh my goodness, but you believe in so many things. You believe in human rights, and you don't just believe in them notionally. You have gone and helped, charities and schools across, in other parts of the world that are poorer. You don't just believe in the concept of compassion. You're an incredibly compassionate person. You live your life by these transcendent values that you cannot prove. You are not the rational person that you think that you are. And so I kind of wrote this book for her to say to her, you are already living according to beliefs that cannot be proved, that cannot be demonstrated under laboratory, conditions. And therefore, my plea to you is not to take a leap of faith. My plea to you is to recognize you are already midair with your feet dangling, and you need some ground beneath your feet. And it's only Jesus that will make sense of the human rights that you believe in. It's only Jesus that will make sense of equality and compassion and consent and all these other things that I say. And so that's the argument that I try to make. The next move that my friend makes, and the next move that so many non-Christians make when they hear this argument, is to say, okay, maybe Christianity happens to have helped us get to these humanistic values. I am willing to agree with Tom Holland and all these other historians who absolutely say that the West has been built by Christianity. Sure, but that's an accident of history. It is not inherent to Christianity. It is not unique to Christianity, and we would have gotten here anyway. That is 90% of how people respond to this book if they're not Christians. They say, fine, fair enough. Christianity happens to have been the handmaiden that's helped us to get. It's like the booster rocket. You're in Florida. It's like the booster rockets that sort of helps you get most of the way out into the troposphere, and then you jettison the booster rockets so that the space shuttle can blast off into the wonders of humanism, beyond its Christian past. That's where most of my progressive, liberal, non-Christian friends go. And then I want to press into, why do you think we would have gotten here anyway? They say, oh, we would have gotten to human rights anyway, regardless of this Christian history, which is a remarkably theological position to take, as though human rights are hanging in the ether, waiting to be discovered until at some point through the vagaries of history, we've gone one way and then the other, and we've happened upon this inviolable dignity and worth to the human person, this sort of moral value. What kind of universe do you think we live in, such that human rights were not invented but were discovered? See, we don't say that Isaac Newton invented gravity. Gravity was doing just fine, in the years before the 1700s. Gravity was there. He discovered a thing that was already there. But my secular humanist friends want to say, Christianity, sure. Christianity is like Isaac Newton. It sort of helped us to get to this thing and to formulate this thing called human rights. But we don't need Newton anymore in order to have gravity, and we don't need Christianity anymore in order to have human rights. You're like, well, let's keep on following that argument. Is human rights woven into the fabric of the cosmos the way gravity is woven physically into the fabric of the cosmos? Is that what you're saying? And it's an incredibly theological vision for life. And then you just got to ask, on what basis? My goodness, and Tom Holland says about this, to believe that human rights just hang there waiting to be discovered is as theological an idea as that Jesus Christ rose from the dead and he sits at the right hand of the Father. It's this axiomatic faith position that you want to take. And, if you want to take it, fine, you can take it. But at least there's evidence for the resurrection. what evidence are you going to bring in support of human rights? And be very careful before you bring that evidence, because whatever you say is evidence for our human equality, will start to be a feature that some people have and some people lack. You actually don't want evidence when it comes to human rights. You want it to be a faith position that you take axiomatically. And so you could just decide that just by fiat, we're just going to say, in this society, we're going to believe in this nonsense called human rights. You could do that, but at that stage, you know that you're not being moral. You're just arbitrarily choosing one set of values over another.